Hello and welcome to the Future Report. We've got just a few topics here today. It's going to be a short one, but there is not that much to talk about.
Very dry these days.
I do have one shout out. I just finished a short video on TikTok for the whiteout build that you see right behind us. Just finished that, and there is going to be a longer form coming out on YouTube and maybe a couple more shorts just with some advertising. It is a mini ATX, micro ATX,
There you go.
mini tower. So a little bit of a small form factor build, all white. All the components are white in there except the M.2, which is covered by a white heatsink.
For all likes and purposes, it's white. You heard it here first.
Even the cables are white.
I
So
was actually very impressed when I saw that in there. It was pretty cool.
absolutely love it.
Got it.
So I hope the customer loves it. And hopefully we'll hear from them with a review on it as soon as we get it to them. All right, you want to take it away?
Absolutely. So we have a slightly older topic, but it's still very much relevant. It has to do with, once again, our good friends over at Intel and ARC, the ARC team specifically. So they've released the B570, which is intended to be their more mid-range offering, if you could call it that, since all of their cards are budget. But there's a couple of things that are concerning about this graphics card, despite the fact that for a little while people were hailing it as the budget king of graphics cards by all margins. Here, let me start off with the most important thing that anyone here is probably interested in. Skip ahead if you don't care, but $219 is the price. That's the most important metric that most people care about. And the video memory sits at a healthy 10 gigabytes, which is really nice to see.
Hey, especially at that price point.
Especially at the price point. So for any of you PS5 game enjoyers looking to get into PC and still enjoy the games yet on your console, this one can play it a little more capably than the cards that came before it. So not much to say about that. Just nice to see some generational improvement for once, since NVIDIA and AMD have not been doing a great job of that. But unfortunately, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So let me get into the concerns that we have about this card. So Intel's been providing very good budget performance for a couple of years now, and they've performed far beyond what anyone could have expected of them, given how short their experience in the full-size desktop graphics card department has been.
Very short reign in the budget department.
Absolutely, especially compared to giants that have been doing it for as long as we've been alive.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with this generation, there's still the major concern of rebar and how that has an effect on how the graphics card performs. So a lot of people voice their concerns because, considering it's a budget graphics card, it's a very healthy assumption to make that people are buying this to upgrade what they already had. So this could be Intel CPUs as old as 6th gen, 7th gen, 8th gen, and Ryzen 1000, 2000, and 3000. All of these being like DDR4 builds. Nothing crazy, most of what you would expect, given most people don't want to upgrade to DDR5 because of how expensive it is.
Yeah.
The problem is many of these older builds do not have resizable bar as a motherboard option. Now, for those of you who may not understand what that is, I'll give you the shortest description of what this technology is as I can. It's a technology that allows the computer's processor or CPU to have complete access to the graphics card's memory buffer instead of one chunk at a time. Now, what this means is that the CPU can write more data in a larger chunk as opposed to having to wait a cycle to do it again.
Yeah.
As far as my understanding goes, that's the basic definition of it. So if you can think of it as a person who can only take one or two items from a big storage room at once, which slows you down as opposed to being able to carry something like a basket or a wheelbarrow and transport them all at once. The downside is if you don't have this, the B570's budget domination kind of falters to the point where it's almost not worth buying over something like a 6600 or 6650 XT.
Exactly. At that point, it's just more worth it getting something older.
To an extent, you still get the video memory, so that's still something in its favor.
The VRAM's still there.
And then there's a couple of other things that still make it a good graphics card that I kind of skipped over for this purpose. The rest of the specs are still important. For example, it has 18 RT cores, so it can do ray tracing. As far as how well their software goes and driver support goes for that technology, I've seen XeSS do very good work in the past. But at the time, I actually don't use ray tracing that much myself. So my own experience is rather outdated compared to, like, since I can't even use it, DLSS 4, FSR 3, both of those technologies are things that I normally either don't have access to whatsoever because I have a 3070 or are not available in the games that I play. So I don't have as much experience, but I remember seeing that XeSS is not a piece of garbage. It does do a pretty good job, and in a lot of cases it actually matches or beats FSR 2.0 at least. And this is something that'll change as Intel releases more driver supports and driver support updates and fixes. So this will be something that gets better. But that doesn't really fix the problem that we're discussing with rebar, because when it really comes down to it, you want to see a sizable improvement.
Yeah.
So for that to be stripped away because of a motherboard feature that you just couldn't possibly have seems like a bit of an oversight on Intel's part.
Yep.
Since that's kind of the point.
So those of you watching who intended to get an Intel Arc graphics card, just make sure that your motherboard supports resize bar before you go making that investment.
There you go. Sound advice.
And if you want to know more about resize bar, just ask ChatGPT. Ask it for a succinct answer. Any videos that you watch will be very long-winded probably. So
yeah.
I'd just try and get a succinct answer. And most people don't want to be reading about that.
Me neither. I didn't want to read about it, but that's how it goes. Well, if you want to take us into our next topic, or would you like me to just jump right into?
Yeah, just jump into the 5070, and then we'll move down.
Well, in the case of NVIDIA here, our old friend that we've been ragging on all year, they're back for more. And this time they've released effectively the same graphics card for the 5th time. So the 5070 Ti releases, it is effectively a more cut down 5080. And it really is at its core basically a 5080. So one of the things about this card that kind of struck me was the fact that it has the same bandwidth on the memory bus as the 5080, and it has the same amount of video memory at 16 gigs of GDDR7. So there's not even...
But the 5080 you said? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I might have misspoken. But
never mind.
Between the 5080...
No, you said it right.
Ti.
I was processing something at a different speed.
Okay. The biggest differences that I notice are you have your the bandwidth itself, so not the memory bus, but the actual bandwidth of the graphics card itself is considerably lower. So it's down from 960 to a more respectable 896.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, sorry. And then the total board power, so your power draw for this card is 60 watts less at 300. So that's still a lot. By my standards, I still thought that was a lot, but for how much performance it outputs, it's not that bad. The biggest problem with it is the price, and that's with NVIDIA in mind. That should be about
par for the course.
That should be what you expect. They're listing its MSRP at $749 US, but at the time of recording, it's not possible to even be found near that price. Some of them have been selling for $1,100.
Wow.
So it's just not possible.
Yeah.
It's a safe assumption that until end of year, you're probably not.
Do they have founders editions of this card?
I only saw the Asus model. I think they do, but they look similar to the 40 series. They're not much different.
Yeah, I'm just asking to see, like, do they even sell them? Like NVIDIA?
Oh, like on NVIDIA's website?
Yeah.
People can't get them. At least that's what I've heard. That's been the case for the 90 and the 80. People just cannot find them. So, disappointing.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're selling them on their website. Nope. There's at least no founders editions on their website.
It's been 5 years. This hasn't really changed that much.
But they've sold founders editions of all the cards.
Very difficult to find.
Yeah, they're getting harder and harder to find. I think at this point they probably only sell them out to creators, because I have not seen a founders edition in the hands of somebody that I've seen in person.
So I haven't seen one since the 20 series personally. The last one I saw was a 2080 Ti.
The 2080 Ti
one was the last one that I remember.
I saw Titan too.
those are even older, right? Aren't those older?
Yeah, the Titan X, I think.
It might have been 2018.
That's about the same time frame, isn't it?
I don't remember. I really don't.
But yeah, I only see the new.
It's been a minute.
I only see the new Founders Editions in the hands of creators.
The last high-end graphics card, the highest end, was someone's EVGA 3090. That was the last one that I saw. Technically 4090 because like my roommate has a 4090. But
Yeah.
like besides that, out in the wild, I haven't seen a Founders Edition in years.
Yeah.
Don't know if that's intentional or not, but yeah. Either way, from what I've read about the 5070 Ti, since obviously I cannot get you a sample for it, I can't test it, and I probably never will be able to because nobody can. It seems to like to sit around 8% to 12% faster than the 40 Ti Super that we just had last generation. So in terms of generation on generation improvement, barely any.
About the same as we've been given recently.
Pretty much. And the selling point is DLSS 4 is NVIDIA's big selling point. So nothing really to report here. Skip over this card. If you find one for a good price somewhere and it's the same price or cheaper than a 4070 Ti Super, take your 10% performance in DLSS 4 and be on your way, but I wouldn't go out of my way to look for one. That's really about it.
There you go.
Yeah. Short and sweet.
All right. And now on to a little bit of the gaming side. We got the Switch 2 finally getting released. It's been a long, what is it now?
I'm gonna look it up right
Is
now.
it 6 years?
No longer, I think. 2016 was when the Switch came out, isn't it?
I should have looked this up.
Nintendo Switch.
2017.
Oh, okay.
Man, it's been a long time. But we finally have the new one. And there is a lot that came with it. We got a new kickstand. It spans the entire back of the console.
Did the original Switch have a kickstand? I never had one. It had like the little...
Yes, it did. It had a little flick out kickstand, and it would come off all the time. I know from experience. It has a new dock. Hopefully this one will not scratch the screen.
I remember you telling me. I seen it on yours. I remember seeing that.
That was a huge complaint, and people used to have to put a sock over it, or they sold sleeves for it and stuff. Third party, obviously, but it would scratch the screen, the original design.
And they didn't sell it with a screen protector on it, did they?
No.
Just straight up the screen.
Yeah, my screen is scratched because of that dock. And because of kids touching it and stuff. Right. But
peak R&D.
It's just so disappointing. But hopefully, because the corners are now rounded, if you watch the original release video on the Switch 2, it probably won't scratch the screen anymore, because that was a huge complaint. There are also now 2 USB-C ports, which is really good news, because from my personal experience, you cannot, unless you get a dongle, you can't you can't attach external devices and charge it at the same time. I can't remember what we used to attach to that. There used to be different things, like different accessories you'd put on there.
Could you ever put storage on a USB port?
So
yeah.
There is still an expandable micro SD slot. It goes up to 1 terabyte, I believe. Not that you would want to put much more than that, because those games aren't exactly huge. Mm-mm. But yeah, I find that the 2 USB-C ports is really important to me if I do invest in one of these, because the dongle, if you put one on there, isn't going to be hanging out the bottom, because when you went to go put it on the dock, it would be sticking out the bottom. It's like the Apple mouse, the Magic Mouse. It's turtling.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't use it, and
I remember that.
So
Apple and the hockey puck and the Magic Mouse, the 2 worst mice designs of all possible time, and they never backed down and fixed them. They just left them.
Yeah, and they're still selling those like that. But anyway, the dongle can now go out the top, or you can charge it from the top, and you can put the Switch down.
That's good.
Still play.
That's really good.
They did keep the headphone jack, so they're not going away with the trend still. From here, it says there is still poor performance, which is comparable to the PS4, which is pretty much what we were gonna.
So now that they're already talking about the next Xbox to come out. So now we're
2 generations behind, probably.
That's what I was just gonna say. Is like we're already talking last gen performance, but last gen is technically 10 years ago. So now, because technically,
Yeah.
so we're talking.
Yeah, we're like 10 years behind.
Worth of performance improvements just to be held back by the Switch 2.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I mean, we're talking Nintendo here. It's not like their games are super
No.
like they take a lot of performance, but I will say Zelda Breath of the Wild glitches a lot on my original Switch. It's not the OLED version. They did do some tweaks with the OLED, but my original Switch, which is kind of getting tired now, is it does lag a lot. So especially with Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, I remember watching your brother play that and noticing the little frame time problems with it.
And coming from like high-end computers, or at least they used to be high-end.
Once you
high-end
upgrade,
computers,
once you upgrade, it's really hard.
it's like you can't go back and see, oh, that is really bad performance. But moving on from that,
let your brother enjoy it while he can, right?
something that we can both appreciate is they have bigger controllers.
Oh yeah, yep.
So I don't know dimensions or anything because they just released a video.
Here's my question: are they thicker controllers?
I believe so.
Because the joystick drift. That's my big concern. Are they
That's fair.
going to actually address the elephant in the room with the Switch? That's my question. Because
They're definitely thicker. I don't know if it's going to be that thick to be able to fit a full-size joystick.
Because that was the thing that I loved about the Wii U. Like I don't like the Wii U. I don't think anybody can agree that the Wii U was a good console, but the joysticks and the controller on the pad felt really nice. Kind of, sort of in the same ballpark as the original Nunchuck, which felt incredible. As weird of a controller as that was, it felt really good.
Yeah.
And they got
I liked the vibrations in that one too. It felt really good.
Were there vibrations in the Nunchuck? I thought it was only in the... I must have had a broken one.
Oh, the Nunchuck.
Yeah.
The separate thing.
Yeah, because I didn't think that did. I thought that was
No, the Nunchuck didn't have...
Yeah.
I don't think it did.
No. If it did, mine was broken from day one then, because I never had one. I remember getting jealous of my friend who had the black controller and the black Nunchuck, because I thought that was like infinitely better looking than the white one.
I had a pink one, so you had it made.
Okay, bro. Okay, all right. You did not have to style on me like that. I do not appreciate that.
Did you have
the Pro controller though?
No.
See, I get to style.
I was not balling like that.
See, I get to style on you now. I got to play Call of Duty in 5 FPS.
Ooh.
As you were saying, continue.
Sorry. The controllers now, the Joy-Cons.
Are they still called that?
I don't know. I'm going to keep calling it that. The Joy-Cons don't slide in now.
Interesting. Okay.
They have a magnetic connector that attaches inwards. So, I don't know if that, because you're going to get kids walking around with holding it like this.
That was my first
If they pull it apart, is it going to like flop on the ground and die?
Ooh.
Or are the magnets going to be strong enough to be able to hold it together?
I don't think I've ever encountered a magnet actually strong enough.
I have encountered several small neodymium magnets that are plenty strong to do that. But are they going to be shooting for that? And is it going to destroy the electronics along with it? Because those neodymium magnets can destroy electronics.
I think I have personally never encountered anything that was magnetic that was intended for you to hold that actually worked like that. I always enjoyed something that slotted into like metal on metal.
Yeah, and then that locked. You had to press a button to unlock it. So we'll see how that goes.
You know, it's only kid proof if your kid has to ask you for help to get it out. Or if your younger brother goes, can you please take this off for me once or twice before they figure it out? That's how you know it's well designed.
That's exactly how
I understand their appeal, make it easier. I totally get that.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go out of my way to say it's a bad idea without even having one, but that is interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's on the Joy-Cons.
All right. And there is a bigger screen with smaller bezels.
Is it OLED?
Yes.
Let's go.
Some people are convinced that it's 4K. I've not seen this. This is on Nintendo. Oh no, this is Nintendo Life. It says that the dock can upscale to 4K.
Oh, okay. Yep, that makes so much sense.
So the screen is not 4K.
But does it need to be?
No, because it's
so small. See, the thing that I need to like remember is whenever we compare these like the Switch to anything else, it's a tough comparison because one of the drawbacks is if you make it perform like a PS5, the battery life tanks, which makes it less of a portable console.
Yeah.
Which is the point.
I think that they said 4 hours.
That's good. That's
4-hour battery life.
I think that's pretty good.
I actually don't quote me on that because I can't remember if that was the Quest 3.
Quest 3. Oh, okay. Okay.
Because the new Quest came out a little while back, and I can't remember if it was this or the Quest 3 that had the 4-hour battery life. All right. Anyway.
My thing with it is like if the screen is that small, you don't need more than 1080p.
Yeah, no, not really.
You don't. So as long as you can make
you can bump it up to like maybe 2K.
But
maybe
the average,
4K.
Who's your target audience at that point?
Yeah,
I feel like that's out
like
of
if my little brother doesn't notice the glitching on his Breath of the Wild, is he really going to notice that his screen's not 4K?
That's kind of what I was thinking, because if it halves your battery life just to get that little imperceptible...
Honestly, I would rather... It's nice if they would give us the option, but you can't just do that.
I mean, that's kind of how our phones work. I mean, our phones have the 3 display modes, QHD, HD+, HD, whatever it is.
I wouldn't mind being able to downscale my screen so that I can save on battery life, like if I'm going on a plane or something.
Or like
but if I want to like play hardcore for a little bit, it'd be nice if I could bump it up.
Or like downscale it for certain games that don't play quite as well.
Yeah.
Like for when Doom 2016 came out for Switch, like that was I couldn't believe they even put that game on the Switch, considering the type of game that it is.
Yeah.
But it ran. I don't know how well it ran, but the fact
I never
that
played it on
did
there
is incredible to me.
Yep.
And I think that that's an example where I would downscale it to get more frames.
Speaking of Doom on there, it is backwards compatible.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the new Doom was going to be on it, and I was going to
Oh, no, I don't have that information yet.
I'm already ready for it.
But the Switch 2 is compatible with Switch 1 games.
Okay.
So you will be able to get Doom 2016 on the Switch 2.
Ooh.
And I don't know if the new Doom is going to be able to come out on there.
I mean, Doom Eternal didn't come out for Switch, did it? Did Doom Eternal come out?
I don't know.
So let me see. There's no way. Doesn't look like it did. Oh, wait. On Nintendo's website, there is a page that says Doom Eternal for Switch.
Doom: The Dark Ages. Which one is that?
That's the one that's coming out. I'm amped about it. It looks so good.
It's set to release on May 15th. PS5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. There are rumors that it may also be available on Nintendo Switch.
That's crazy.
No official confirmation, but
well, Doom Eternal apparently for $40 can be had on the Switch. That's from Nintendo.com. I don't know if that's actually Doom Eternal or if that's something else. It looks like Doom Eternal.
Well, if it's on Nintendo, then
it has to be. It's got to be. I remember Doom 2016 having much better performance than Doom Eternal did. So I'm surprised they even got this game to work, but knowing it, I really shouldn't be as surprised as I am. They're really good at that. Anyway, we're getting off topic. That's my fault. I was just getting kind of excited about
Doom Eternal is on Switch.
Yeah, Doom Eternal on Switch.
Whoa, there's a lot of Doom games on here.
They have the entire library. I just didn't know that it went all the way up to Doom Eternal, honestly. I thought
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're
30
really
years of Doom on the Switch?
Really
come on, that's awesome.
It does have an NVIDIA GPU, the new one.
Okay.
So it's the T239. And it has 1,536 CUDA cores.
Is Didn't we look it up? Isn't it kind of similar to like the 16 series in terms of architecture? Isn't it like an Ampere?
I don't remember. I'm not comfortable saying that.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up because I actually was.
So while you look that up, I'm going to continue with this.
Absolutely.
The new Super Mario Bros. Wonder is also going to be out with the Switch 2. So that is something for the Nintendo fans to be excited about. Some speculations here. These are from different YouTubers and whatnot. It is said that hopefully there's going to be variable refresh rate.
Ooh, okay.
So that could be very helpful for battery saving and for a multitude of reasons. There is also a reference in the video that the controllers will have a mouse capability.
So you can take it off.
You can put it on a surface and use it like a mouse. There's also, if you look at the controllers in the video, there is some type of sensor that looks like the bottom of a mouse.
It's like an optical sensor.
An optical sensor alongside the IR sensor that was already on the previous Switch.
PC gaming on Switch. Can we put Linux?
I don't know.
Can we put Steam OS on it? Can we just access the Steam library through the Switch 2? Listen, I'm waiting for some YouTuber to do that though.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at some point. But there are also infrared sensors on the controllers.
So
you can still do like the sword games and sometimes they would, you would fold the boxes. They'd send you like a kit and you'd fold the boxes up with a game.
I remember that.
I had one of those. It was awesome. It was a car game. I can't remember what it's called, but you'd like fold the boxes up and put the Joy-Con in there, and it would work as.
It would turn it into like a usable controller.
Yeah,
is that what it was? I remember seeing those back when
I had like a steering wheel.
Yeah, I remember actually. I used to play with it at your house occasionally.
Yeah,
back in the day. Yeah, that was fun.
So. Yeah, there's a lot of different scenarios that could be possible with this. I'm really excited for it because personally, I have a childhood with Nintendo. So
Lego Star Wars Wii, Super Mario Brothers Wii.
There you go.
Easily 200 hours.
I played probably 1,000 hours of Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. New.
I put that many hours probably into Mario Galaxy 1. Simply because it felt like the only Mario game that like my little brother couldn't actually play because little bro had to play as the star shooter as player 2 and no one wants to do that.
Oh.
No one wants to do that. So if I was playing Mario Galaxy, it was just me and that was peak. If I had to play new Super Mario Brothers Wii and my mom would force me to let them hop in, it was misery.
Yeah.
Mario Galaxy.
Because you just spend the whole time popping them.
Oh, yeah. You spend the whole game just sitting there waiting for them to die to the same Koopa or whatever 20,000 times. Bubble to me 90,000 times. Mario Galaxy, shoot the stars. You help me out. I win.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I'm still looking at this GPU for the Switch 2, and I'm not seeing what it was equivalent to. But if my memory serves me correctly, it's not based on any modern architecture. It's based off of like whatever the 16
again, it is comparable to the PS4, so we have to take that into account as well.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the architecture is the same, though.
No, I'm not saying architecture-wise. I'm saying performance-wise.
Because I believe
it is a mobile chip. Remember?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the PS4 and the HD 6770 perform very similar. The Radeon HD 6770, the one that we had in the office for a while, if you remember correctly. Remember we used to play around with it?
Which one is that?
It's the one that we put in the other podcast room, the 6770.
Oh yeah, the old AMD.
Yeah, that one is the equivalent of the PS4 for the time period. But like the fact that this new one is doing it and it's not a desktop GPU and it's just a little switch, integrated CPU GPU combo is pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know what architecture it is, so.
The T239 GPU is compared to the RTX 2050 underclocked.
Oh. Okay. It's a little better than I thought, actually.
Yeah, so it's
so it has RT.
there and
Technically.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far.
Because I was thinking if it did have ray tracing, that would mean that developers could do like what they used to do. Instead of making the entire thing ray traced, they would just make certain things ray traced. Like, remember how in like Battlefield 5 they had like the ray traced water and stuff? Or like the reflections were ray traced. So like the water looked kind of cool, and that was about it. That could be interesting. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember completely because I didn't have the money for an RTX card, and then I had enough for a 1660, not an RT card.
So somebody says on Reddit, okay, the RTX 2050 reaches 30 FPS with PS5 settings. So there's no RT on there.
That's unfortunate.
So this person says it's making me really hopeful for third-party support on the Switch 2.
In what way? What does that mean?
So
what's the context? Excuse me.
The context is that somebody posted a video explaining what's behind the T239, which is the chip that's going to be in the Switch 2. And they're basically just saying that it's equivalent to the 2050 that's underclocked to 750 megahertz, and that it can do some damage.
That's good then.
That's what I'm getting from this.
Sounds good to me. Let them all eat cake. I don't know. Lots of.
Hey, well, if
that's one.
If the games are actually designed with the Switch 2 in mind, which some of them won't be, but some of them, obviously Nintendo games will be, then I think that this has the capability of running really smoothly.
Me too. I'm excited to hear about this.
Yep.
Especially if the dock can do the upscaling instead of trying to make the actual Switch do the work. That means when you boost it, when you actually send it to your TV, it doesn't look that bad. Because that was the thing when I watched your brother play Breath of the Wild. It looks rough from up close.
Yeah.
It looks so rough. So that
even from far away, it looked rough.
Yeah,
you could be standing in the other room looking at the TV, and you're like
I'm looking at like the menus,
stuttering,
the UI items that have the blur around them. I'm like, wow, this is actually not great.
Yeah,
but it'll be nice. That's good. That's really good news.
Yep.
For once, actually, that's like the first time we've had like really good news in a long time on here.
Yep.
So a little bit of silver lining.
And I think that about sums it up.
Well, close us off.
I started it. All right, fine. I'll close this off.
That's usually how we do it, though, isn't it? Usually the person who starts it finishes it.
I can't remember at this point. Well, thank you for watching. Check out the TikTok video on the whiteout build, and be sure to stay tuned for the full-size video on that. Should be coming out probably in the next week or so.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching.
All right. It never gets easier.
No, it doesn't.